Hello everyone, Yappy here. This is for a request on what styles are still useful within the Reforged Bonds SS style exchange. So I'm going to highlight some of the styles that I feel we still have useful inherits and skills and spells that I have used in recent meta. Right? So let's head over to the styles page on edit. Let us start off with Sword. So for Sword, the first notable style that we have is Sumire, the Christmas style. So her skill, Ninjutsu Present Swiftblade, can be inherited to her later style, right? Next, we have Kzinssie, and he has this spell called Duststeal. On paper it looks okay at best, but incidentally this spell was inherited onto his latest style in the clear for the romancing fight with triple question mark. So just to highlight that. Next, we have Bertrand. This global exclusive Bertrand can be good for players who are still new or who are lacking any sword counter styles. Next, we will go to Great Sword. For Great Sword, Saruin over here, his second spell, Wave of Malice, will be very good if you have his later style that can inherit this. Then we have Gustave over here. Steel Dominance can be useful for defensive, spell mitigation, and also it attacks row of foes, which is great for the next Heart Remembrance with Frog Warriors. Another notable style would be Silver, the Halloween Silver style. Acrobatic Thunder can be useful to inherit to her later style because of the lightning element. And of course, for players who do not have Final Empress, this version of hers has Imperial Shield, which in recent times has not been used much, but then again, it offers 2 turns, you can cast it twice, each turn allowing damage block for your entire party, which may be useful in time to time. Next, for X styles, we have Hawke. So Hawke over here has Militant Slash Plus, which can be useful if he needs to perform a counter roll. If not, Great X Flash, again, is a row of foes attack and it attacks twice. It has a follow-up with Dangerous Spin, which is row of foes as well. May be useful for upcoming Heart Remembrance with Frog Warriors. Then we have School Sith, her Wail Plus, again, which is a row of foes attack and increases the party's strength and will. Again, might be useful for Heart Remembrance with Frog Warriors coming up. Then for clubs, we have Ginny. Ginny over here is a counter style, so if you are lacking any counter style for clubs, she might be a good choice to pick. Then for martial arts, we have Ryu Queen. This style of hers, of course, the main skill to inherit onto her later style will be Queen's Punisher for the stun. And on top of that is a medium chance to stun. So it's very good for the current Heart Remembrance battle with roadblockers. Then we have Shirak. This style of hers, Call of Darkness, is still quite a viable counter style if you are lacking any martial arts counter. Then her first limited SS style has Dark Nebula, which again is very useful for Hard Remembrance with rope blockers because of the stun and the Wail debuff. And I would also like to highlight this Halloween creator style because of these two skills. Sun Shower, which has the standard ability, and Creator's Wrath, which has intimidated ability. Of course, currently these two are not used very often because Kihachi has gotten more updated partners nowadays with Johan and Madeline, right? But back then, Sundered was very useful to increase the damage of styles like Kihachi, so might be worth a look. Then we will move on to Gun. For Gun, we have Human Male over here, which is a counter spell, counter style, and the counter is part of the passive, so might be useful if you need a counter style for Guns, but otherwise if you have his later style, then there's really not much use for this one. Another counter style in Guns is Zeke. I've seen JP players, presumably because they are free to play, they do not have any other choices, they have used this Zeke as well in Hard Remembrance with Megalith Dragon. Then another noteworthy gun style would be PZKWV, which comes with a stun skill, right? Might be useful against rope blockers, but of course, personally, I have not attempted rope blockers for Guns yet. And then Halloween Arsenal, it comes with Wail debuff. Again, might be useful for Hard Remembrance with rope blockers. Then we will go to Short Sword. For Short Sword, take note that Aisha has Earth Beating, which is very useful for rope blockers because of the stun, and it can be inherited onto her latest X style. Then for Anya, we have the first SS style for Anya. Her skill 2 was very good for the attack down and the buff removal for bosses, but of course in recent times we don't have really much use for this, but it's still a very noteworthy skill if you do not have it. Then we have the first, or rather the only global exclusive moniker with Dazzling Ballet, which is used for counter in Hard Remembrance with Megalith Dragon. And I would like to point out this Asilas style because of Noble Red Rose, which has the Wail debuff. Again, I have not attempted Hard Remembrance rope blockers for Short Sword yet, but just like to point out that this skill has Wail debuff. Then we will move on to Spear. For Spear, a couple of Matriarch styles. For Valentine Matriarch, Pain of Heartthrob is still used from time to time for some romancing fights. It's still a very potent skill because it reduces targets stats gives the target a defense down and does the opposite for our party, right? Still used from time to time. And then for this Matriarch style, the important skill will be, of course, Pain of Protection for the evasion, which is the strategy currently used for Heart Remembrance with road blockers to evade the LP attack. Then we have Spear Final Emperor, which I've seen players use against Heart Remembrance Megalith Dragon for the Rising Dragon counter skill. This counter skill, Rising Dragon, can of course also be inherited onto his Great Sword style. Generally not needed, but for specific fights might be useful because of the evasive counter stance. And Faunus over here has Gobi Whirlpool as well for counter, and it's quite a special counter skill in the sense that it nullifies indirect damage. Then we shall move on to Bow. For Bow, Prefecture List over here is still a very useful and powerful style by herself, and she was used in the Heart Remembrance battle with Megalith Dragon because of her ability to counter and of course the Karatsu Water Wall spell. And her alter ego, Robin Girl, Dragon's Frenzy, currently used to stun road blockers. And then for staff, we shall take a look at firstly Wail, or Wail's daughter. The first style, or the first SS style of her, Water Festival. This is still used with in recent times with Megalith Dragon, Heart Remembrance. And then I have also used Trick or Treat Carnival from the Halloween style in the battle with Road Blocker for Heart Remembrance. Then further, I would like to highlight Melissa, simply because of Dragon's Blessing Plus. Right, this spell itself is still very powerful for party mitigation. And then for Maka, this style of hers, Divine Tree, good for party sustain, and I have inherited this onto her latest style during my fight with road blockers for party sustain. And I would like to point out Esper Gale as well, Halloween, Witch's Trick, which by itself is very powerful. It removes target's buff and further debuffs the target and deals a ton of damage. Not much of use recently, but by itself it is still a very powerful spell. And last but not least, I would like to point out this Princess Ray, Trust Your Fortune style. Her spell 3, Mirage Chant, was used to inherit into a future style of hers that was recently released in Japan, in the Japan version, because it deals a lot of damage coupled with her new style. Right? It casts these 3 spells in sequence, so take note. And with that, I've covered more or less all the styles that I feel that are noteworthy in the current Reforged Bonds ticket exchange, right? So that's it. Hope you like my videos. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you for watching.